Hey guys, what's up? Pork Chopper here, and today we're taking a look at another deck guide, this time covering Shinbi with a deck I have found to be a ton of fun and very deadly indeed. Do comment down below if you have played Shinbi and what you think of her since the new version 42 patch, and also if you have any suggestions on decks on heroes I should try next. If you want to look at this deck, the link will be down in the description below, sending you to the website core.gg. It's a great website to build and share decks. Of course, that will be just the deck. If you want details of what to buy and when to buy it, and even why you would want this card in the deck build, then watch the whole video. The deck contains the two affinities Chaos and Depth, focusing on mainly early game keeping passive and farming with multiple cards depending on the scenario. Mid game you have a few utility options. You can start harassing your opponent more and more with cards to help you sustain in the field so you don't have to back as much. This deck I mostly played in the mid lane as it's more easy to farm, but can work as well in the off lane too if you can get through that first sticky 5 minutes. Then late game you are a monster. If any enemy sees you, they better turn the other way or face death with cards and gems, making you able to stay near enemies, heal more health than they can deal damage, or having cards which makes it easy for you to close the gap on your opponent, which has always been one of Shinbi's weaknesses. So early game you have a few options. The standard is to get Tireless Reaper, which makes your next ability mana cost less with a 10-second cooldown. This is going to help big time as you will be needing to use your abilities, especially line tempo, a lot to help grab those last hits on minions in the offlane and mid lane. Obviously in the offlane it's a 2v1, so it's always going to be tricky and similar in the mid lane, and most of the time you'll be against a ranged hero with a good amount of poking tools, so this can help a ton keeping your mana stock up early game. On screen now is the 4 full early game cards. Outland Scout I would only get if against a Kalari jungle. Living Guardian and Charles Strider I always get after getting Tireless Reaper, and they will help me survive for longer as most times you'll be pinned into your tower, so Tower Strider is great to have there to be a lot more mobile. You will unlock the first 2 gems while getting these cards. The only one in Vitality in this build is Quick Exit. It's a very standard gem to get you into the action quicker, and also Onslaught, reducing cooldowns on basic hits. With Shinbi you already have low cooldowns on your abilities. This just helps more late game, so you can get as many abilities out at once as you have the mana late game during fights to keep you alive, especially Circle Rhythm. The goal is to get a total of 5 vitality points and 11 intellect points for the mid game build, which is Invader Mage for the ability penetration, Warlock's Burden for the sustainability for your mana, while you can use Circle Rhythm to restore the health lost. It may take some time, but it can help keep you in lane for longer periods of time. And finally we have Finder of Playthings, mainly for the stats it gives you with power and mana regen, but also the active is fantastic too. Being able to see all enemies and reduce the move speed of a target enemy is amazing for Shinbi, so once you get close to an enemy you can use this card, so it's a lot harder for them to escape while you build your wolf stacks up. With gems you would have unlocked Blade Turn, which blocks the next basic attack after you use an ability. This works great with the Onslaught gem because how low Shinbi's cooldowns are and how quickly you will use them to get those wolf stacks. It means you can be even more tanky than people will think. The next 3 cards are the late game cards, which you have the option to use. The first 2 which I always get are Shadow Dancer to help me close the gap on unsuspecting targets, plus it gives you some power. It's a very strong card currently, and the next one is Reactive Beast, giving me even more power, health and attack speed. The passive allows it so when I get a hero kill, all basic ability cooldowns are reset. Shinbi is all about using her abilities to get enemies low off so you can secure the kills successfully with her ultimate, meaning you will proc this card a lot during those hectic team fights, so you can spam your abilities over and over again to keep you topped up on health and also dealing considerable damage to the enemy team. Shinbi is one of the greatest heroes to secure kills, so US card will proc more often on her than most other heroes. I would swap out Finder of Playthings and Warlock Burden for these 2 cards, and the final option is to put Glycerin Dawn in for Invader Mage or not, and this personally is up to you. It does cost an extra 3 intellect Glycerin Dawn from Invader Mage, and it helps deal significant damage with Fireball, however it costs a lot of mana, and because you don't have any gems to help with mana regen, does something to be cautious about. I keep the option open depending on the game, the enemy team, and how my performance has been so far. Either way, try both out and see what you like. If you don't like the idea of having an extra active or glycerin on, then you can just pick Invader Maze instead. So late game, the build you will have costs 18 intellect and 8 vitality. Not super late game, but this is the fundamental core build. The rest of the build you purchase all the intellect attribute points to unlock all the gems available in the build. The ones missing I have in the build are Healing Spelled, which helps massively with her circle rhythm, improving its heal rate, which mid to late game you're going to need to be even more tanky. Then we have Ruthless Spells to help just deal more ability damage, and finally we have Overpowered Spells, going full into the damage, sacrificing it for mana uses to be even more deadly. Now if for some reason the game has gone for super long and you have maxed out all the intellect stats, then you can start focusing on vitality, and the last 2 cards on the build need that extra vitality. The reason I didn't add these cards in is because you may not even want them, which I mostly don't want them, but it's just good to have the options. And 2, with how the build leans more into intellect, to even consider getting these cards you would have to have like a 45-minute plus game. But anyway, the cards are Withering Shadow, which you would trigger right next to an enemy, and you can use Circle Rhythm to heal yourself up, while your enemy is taking even more damage. In my opinion, it's the best to use in a 1v1 scenario, and it gives extra health and power, so it's great to have. The other card is Soveric Initiate with Sacrificial Link, making it so you can link to an enemy and deal 8% max health and ability damage to you and them per second. Again, for more of a 1v1 scenario, so you can use Circle Rhythm to heal yourself up while the enemy gets destroyed. Combining these 2 cards together, it's actually great with the ability armor Soveric gets, making it so Withering Shadow and Soveric Initiate aren't dealing as much ability damage to you compared to the enemy you are now destroying. Now even though all those cards have some great passives and actives, the stats you get with them really pile on to the health and mana regen for you. By the time you finish the late game build, you will have over 2000 health easily and still can deal insane amounts of damage, and with Circle Rhythm healing you up, I think you can see why this build can be very deadly. So my overview of this deck, it's a ton of fun and really showcases Shinbi off. Most games you may die when you engage, but you can get a good 2 to 3 kills off and really get some high frag gains. But I don't think there's much of a better feeling in Paragon when an enemy comes up to you thinking, I can beat this lonely Shinbi, to suddenly realising their mistake and not making that mistake again. So I'm going to leave you all with a few highlights from the game I've been showing to demonstrate it more. So please do enjoy that, subscribe for plenty more Paragon content, and I hope you enjoyed this deck build in 7 minutes, and I'll see you all next time.